They sent me in their prisons. I've been in their prisons, chain gangs, pick cotton, you name it. I've done all that. I've been a Black Panther. I've been a Nation of Islam. I was the highest ranking in Rhode Island. For many years I ran that temple. But I'm trying to tell you something. They tried to kill me. They destroyed my family. They will do that to you. But they can't do it no more because now we have the internet. Now we're able to communicate all over the world. And that's your job. That's young people's job because we don't have much time. So while we're still here, go to the nursing homes and find out what your grandmother and great-grandmother and them and grandfather, get their story. Make them the new Madonna, the new Jay-Z. Give them a nice sending because they'll come back and work with you. I know this from experience. After you go look on the website, you're going to see footage of actual ancient rituals that took place, and you'll find Masons and Shriners there too, so I'm not crazy. What are they doing there? Okay? The point I'm making is that there's things you don't know. And that's the problem, is the lack of knowledge of these things. It keeps their advantage over us. So I posted all this stuff, I did all this work, and my whole lifetime's been dedicated to trying to get my family and my people off the bottom of the rail. And that's where we are. We're off the bottom. I would say we are. So what excuse do you have except for chasing that dollar? That's nothing but paper. Food is the next gold. Heirloom seeds. We want to get seeds from the gardens that are generations over there in Africa. We want their seeds. We want the soil. We want the salt. We want the minerals. We want anything that they could bless and send to us. And we'll try to market it, vice versa, and move on and back to Africa that way. We have to create an economy of our own. We spend, I forgot how many, it was $8 billion or something like that in the Black community. On what? Our time. I ain't got time, I ain't got time. Do you have a video player? Do you have a PlayStation? Do you have a PC? Do you have these hard? Well, that takes time. If you're concerned about your future and your children's future, you're going to the wrong university. The universe is free. And the knowledge and wisdom that's been from, like I said, there's no record of beginning and there's no record of end. That's there for your access. But you got to understand DNA. You have to understand energy. And the best way is to study biogeometry. That's the buzzword because that's going to eliminate the monopoly over power. Everybody has this. We're walking around generators of this energy. And the more we understand our DNA, the more we can put out. You can change the world that way. I would have never survived. My children would have never made it, because I never got jobs from these people. But I've opened up mills and created jobs all my life. So call me. That's what I tell them. Call me. Get in touch with me. My email, Google me. You just have to put my name in a search engine, any search engine. Contact. If you can't do it, then you are a targeted individual. If you do not have the guts to call another person just because he's a stranger or because you think he's something you imagined and you don't know until you communicate with him, then you are one of them. You're not one of us. One of us, we can communicate. We can have a dialogue. We're not part of this system. Okay, so I want to close because I know I got a schedule to keep, and I know I've taken all this conversation over. I'm sorry about that.
Don't be sorry. It's a shame that we don't have more time. And anyways, I'm pretty sure your story would be a movie or many movies.
And we have to own it. We have to own the copyrights. Hollywood has been pimping our history and our culture for eons. It's time to take over. And I'm warning Hollywood and all these actors guilds. You touch any of this history, we'll be in court.
Well, it has been a pleasure to be able to sit here.
And it was nice to meet you.
And I know this won't be the last time. And again, Carl, very separate, and everyone's just kind of doing their own thing. But it's the immigrant experience, isn't it? Because when you think about it, what else could they do? Our parents came and, but go ahead, I see.
No, you're doing fine. As far as understanding what you're doing, there's been generations and generations of this same thing been done. The only difference between your father's efforts and the African American effort is the African American had no place to go. The Cape Verdean people, which was independent in '75, and by the way, the PAIGC that formed the government there wasn't just Cabral. There was a fellow named Rafael Barbosa. If you go check your history, you'll find he kind of like disappeared. Well, not really, because you have a Maurice Barbosa who happened to acquire some land down in Washington on the Mall for the Black Patriot Memorial. His descendants fought in the Revolutionary War, and he had to fight the sons of the American Revolution and the daughters of the American Revolution just to get membership into it. You see, here's the deal. For several hundred years, even before slavery, the stigma of being a slave and a free man actually cultivated on the islands. And where Cabo Verde was an important port, it had to stay neutral from the church and the monarchy. You might say pirates, you might say occult, secret society, knights, and so on. The exact groups are Knights of Christ and so on. The purpose was to build a fortress, a citadel, a church, and to take these slaves from one culture, and as the Sumerians did in ancient time, let us make man, and they made the Negro, okay? So once they established the idea of building a new Jerusalem in America, they had to kill off all the dark skin and the shamans and wise men on the East Coast, where they planned on landing, okay? Now this is important to understand, because what happened was, at that point, the black man as we know it in America was written completely out of their history was completely changed. Between the church and the monarchy, all we ever been was slaves. But the Cape Verdeans knew this. They weren't slaves. They knew they were the very children of the conspirators. They were trained to be navigators and carpenters and craftsmen, many of them Masons, Knights Templars, Rosicrucians. Because we've been given an image for 200 years that we were backwards and not too intelligent. And the reality was, we became a powerful nation because they had free energy. Us. And the Cape Verdean people, or those who were in the know, were usually hybrids. They were made by mixing the blood. But they got lighter skin, and infiltrated into what today, you'd be surprised who in government, who in business are Cape Verdean. Judges, I'm talking Supreme Court, I'm talking about CEOs, advisors, consulates all over the world. You'll find